a jam-packed show for you with a great special guest. Tune in. Yo, hello everybody and welcome everybody. I am so excited for today. It is episode 45. Yes, 45, not 25, not 35, not 15. It's 45. We're doing it. Sometimes I get a DM. They're like, yo, incredible episode today. Shout out episode 13. I'm like, no, we're way past that. So 45. Let me get my pronunciation down. We're bringing it live today. MintyFreshVibes is our incredible guest today, our topic today. Let's get into it. We are live on Social X right now, the media platform that everybody is talking about, loving about, right? We're live on YouTube. Join us on YouTube if you want to see us. I'm in my incredible clone filter. JPEG J is in our incredible VRM. I'm going to say that 4 more times throughout the show. It's incredible. We built a lot on this show. Please go ahead, share out the space if you're enjoying it. Minty Fresh is usually a host, but we got him up here being a guest today, and I'm excited with that. I got a couple more intro. Here we go. So with that, little red tape here. We do an hour with our special guests. First 30 minutes laser focused on them. They can be long-winded. There's no elevator pitches up here. Last 30 minutes we bring it up Q&A. Anybody wants to come up, ask questions, throw some flowers, throw some loves, keep it respectful. And we love you guys for doing that. Obviously the opinions expressed on this show are those of the speakers. I think the red tape's out of the way with that. We encourage everybody to give us feedback. Drop it however you can. You know, hands are tied, feet are tied. You can listen, you can look with your eyes, however you guys want to do it. JPEG J, how are you today?
Hey everybody, doing really good today. Just want to chill a little bit because we got some good news. The piece that I had painted and included some staple verse pigeons that I had designed has just sold. Woo!
Hey, let's go. I love it that you're getting more confident to shill yourself out here, Jay. And you just sold another commission piece out there. So Jay does art too for toys. This is our one time a week where we can kind of come here, tell you guys what we're doing. It kind of feels cringe, but hey, some people want us to show more. Somebody said, hey, Jay, we love the hippo that you painted on the back of this thing. And she goes, it's a donkey. Oh, well, hey, it started a conversation. Thank you, Jay.
It's the other way around.
Oh, see, God,
It's
I'm
a
so
hippo.
dyslexic. It's a hippo, not a donkey. Oops. Okay, with that, let me give a big, warm welcome to our special guest today, Minty Fresh Vibe, who does the Minty Fresh Vibe show, who's been holding it down every Saturday for Rug Radio, literally for months on end, being the only show when I'm watching my Saturday morning cartoons, eating my Saturday morning cereal. Check him out on Saturdays. I'm sure his show is still there this Saturday. His show is so fun. He looks at interviews. He looks at people within the space. Sometimes it goes off the rails, but I love that. He's got an incredible sense of humor. I love his YouTube in general, just like his videos of him, like videotaping himself, like going down an escalator, all that stuff. He's been a friend of mine within the Rug Radio ecosystem. We've been looking out for each other. We send each other little cliff notes. Hey, boo. Hey, Minty, get in here. You're late. Oh, I'm sleeping. And we've been looking out for each other. So with that, I want to give a big warm welcome to Minty Fresh, who is an advisor at Sound 3, a founder at 3D Hub Lab, a creator at Rug Radio, and working at Inspo Radio Vibes. With that, Minty Fresh Vibes, welcome to the show.
Hey guys, boo, JPEG J. I'm excited to be on this show. I tell you, you guys have so much like great energy and vibes, and look at how much creativity goes into what you guys are making. I'm always so impressed every time I'm watching this show, and I'm very, very excited to be on this show finally.
We are so happy to have you. And honestly, you're an inspiration, seriously, because when I first started in this space and I started creating, and I looked at, I was like looking at all of my peers, right? My fellow creators. And your show, first of all, you're incredible on camera, by the way. You don't look bad either. And you have filters, you have VRMs. And I was like, this is where I want to go. This is the direction I want to go in. And I know that you have your filter of the mutant ape and all that. And I know maybe you have some of that you can click on, show us later. Hold up, though. Let's not get into it too crazy because I like to bring the person, the human behind.
The human element.
Yeah, the human element. So
that stuff was actually born of me just, out of COVID, really, just me wanting to talk to people about things. But, at the time, nobody really wanted to talk to me about Web3 and cryptocurrency and NFTs. I mean, this is several years ago when I started my show. And so I just started talking to myself with these characters. And as the technology started to really, grow in terms of having, apps available for, doing what you guys are doing, it became, like Vroid, etc. It became like so much easier to just talk to myself. So that's how the show began.
I can't agree more. If there's something like I get easily distracted. Maybe there's like a hair missing on my phone filter. I'm never gonna rust. I'm an Android for life. So with that, I want to back up here. Let's get my audience to know a little bit more about you. Let's talk about, who you are. We can go all the way back to childbirth, where you're based out of, because like maybe there's some Web3 people listening and they're like, holy cow, he's right down the street from me. I'm gonna reach out to this guy. So please go off. Tell us all about you.
I'm right down the street from a lot of people. I think that Web3 has a very LA vibe. I think there's a lot of creatives that come out of LA that are into tech. They didn't quite make the trip up to Silicon Valley, but they're still creatives and they're interested in tech. And I think a lot of people here in LA, where I'm a native, it's kind of full of some of the great projects, and some of the great thinkers in this space are in LA fantastically. And it's been really kind of amazing to have local meetups, even down in San Diego. Recently, I was down in over in Comic Con. They had a Web3 meetup, and it was fantastic. There are just so many people in these cities that are thinking about Web3, that are networking themselves locally, that really inspire me.
I can't think of a better place for a bunch of DJs to hang out than at Comic Con, because I just love niche, however you guys want to pronounce it, underground things that people don't really know about, the weirdo stuff, right? Not the norm. But guess what? It usually sometimes becomes a norm just because of somebody or someone going there, putting that thing on or posting it on social media, and then it just blows up. So how did you, like you said, did you first get into Web3 because of the pandemic, or were you into Bitcoin long ago at the bar telling everybody, get into Bitcoin? Come on, man, get into Bitcoin.
Bitcoin for me was, an entry into, at first it sounded like a payment system. And so I was just like, wow, maybe I can like, pay my crew. Cause I do have this problem where sometimes, when I'm doing a project, I have a crew that I need to pay. I want to pay them right away and all these sort of things. And the banking system actually is so antiquated that it's very hard. There's limitations, et cetera. And so initially I thought Bitcoin might be a great way to pay somebody. But then like over COVID, I think the government started handing out money. It was just like, I was like, oh, okay. So thinking in my brain, I'm just like, okay, Bitcoin, digital gold. I should start mining Bitcoin. And so over COVID, I was like mining Bitcoin, kind of returning back to Bitcoin and starting to mine it. But then once I got the node, I was just like, this is actually a node in the largest supercomputer in the world. That I understand. Well, I can't program on that, but I can program on Ethereum. Okay, that makes sense to me. So, just understanding that and then going through, DeFi Summer, and then NFTs, it just sort of pulled me in. But I've always had my eye on IP as soon as I could understand. Like as Bored Apes was certainly like that watershed moment of like, oh yeah, you have the rights to these things, and we're going to be doing this yacht club and these sort of elements, and you can come along for the ride, and you own the rights to your ape, and so. That for me changed the game. I was like, oh, of course, yeah, this is a way to scale IP that the world has never seen. So I was super excited to get involved with that, and a lot of the the projects that I get into are, I'm always trying to push that. I'm like, we're at this precipice of engaging with each other, with communities to grow IP and ideas at such an extreme that I really nerd out about that. I really get down, and this is why I do a show about it. I'm just like, I really have to just completely nerd out about people who are in it so deep with me, that I feel like I'm not crazy, because I'm just like, because when you're talking like, oh, IP, intellectual property, and boo, you're wearing your artifact, and so it's just like there's, and that's the thing, is like you become known. Exactly, you're wearing this, you're wearing the drip. It's just like it's just this whole community, and how fast did that grow, right? Jay, I don't know what you're showing off there, but I don't want to say what that was.
I designed a t-shirt for Sapiens to enter their
Oh,
contest,
amazing.
so I just decided I would put it on my VRM.
Looks amazing, and I love that you took the time to design that sort of drip for your VRM, which is what I love about the space, and having creators in this space who are bringing this, because who would have thought of that from the Sapien standpoint? Like, oh yeah, I want to create this like gray turtleneck with this cool design. It's just, it doesn't come out of like the centralized thinking, the centralized ideas, and that's what I love about. I see Yuli and Bobby in here. It's just like with Uniforce, it's just like that's the type of project that really draws my attention to where, yeah, we got our main campaign going, we got our main thing, but we got a lot of creators who like to create. Let's help them create to support the ecosystem, and we all can grow together as these name brands, if you will, get put out into the world. Because now, many more people know about Sapiens literally just because you showed that right now. Like, and just have awareness of like, oh yeah, that is a project I've heard about. I should look into that.
That's so true. And some people have found, Jeff Staple through Web3, not the other way around. You know what I mean? So there's different ways to onboard and expand with people. Now, you went from mining Bitcoin to Mutant Ape. Okay, hold on a second. That's a crazy jump there, Minty Fresh. Let's back up. Like, did you mine Bitcoin, turn it into Ethereum, and then you were on the whitelist long ago? Like, like I've seen, Crypto Novo shouted you out. Like, you seem like an OG in this space, right? So like, you started mining Bitcoin, but then you like started using NFTs and PFPs, right? And then like all of that incredible stuff. And like, he has this video, y'all. It's so funny. And it's like, my intern, right? And it's like, oh, his intern. I'm like, wait, this guy's got an intern? Like, this dude's so humble. And he turns the camera and it's like a VRM that he's talking to. So it's like and that was 2 years ago, I believe, or something. So, right, if I'm wrong.
This is just how lonely I am, guys.
But this is how ahead you are, though. No, sir. This is how ahead you are. Like, it's 2023. I think I'm early, and you're doing this 2 years ago. I wish I had gotten in sooner, honestly, because what people are doing with Blender and now what people are doing with Unreal 5 is just crazy. So, like, tell me about that. Were you like with the whole Bored Ape project and where that went? You know what I mean? And you've held, right? You've held all the way up to the top to the bottom, right? Because you're here. You're here for the long run. Like me, I'm still holding. I bought my clone for a high price, and I'm still here holding
down to the end. But I think we're showing the video on the bottom there, and it's very, again, it was just kind of done on my phone as an experiment because I thought I could create scenes, with this particular character, and animating this character on the fly. And I think that's the real revelation here, guys. Is like I'm doing this on the fly live, and that was the real revelation, is to try and do stuff like this live, engaging and interacting with these elements is unheard of. It's just really, really, coming, if you're coming from like a 3D sort of, creation, and here in Hollywood, it's just like, oh my God, now you have to, have this character created, animated, comp it in, and then like do this layer, and then I got to rehearse it, and then record that, and then I got to compile them together and composite them together. I can do this on my phone now, and that was just to prove that point. And so, that's what that show still does. Hopefully, is inspires, and when other people see it, they go, "Oh shit, what was that? How did you do that?" And that's all I get. That's 90% of my questions. It's just like I'm like talking about like really serious IP things. They're like, no, how did you do that crazy thing with the character? And so, and I'm happy to share that that information, because that allows people the freedom to jump into these characters within these properties that we love. And I think that a lot of these properties are starting, like Deadfellas, recently did a version of I believe it's animes that you can use with them that allows you to jump into your character, because there's something very liberating about it, and something liberating about what you guys are doing without the constraints of being who you are, because we've grown up on social media. Like we're the first generation to have. I'm sick of social media, dude. It's just like I've always had it. It's like there's a lot of stress involved for me about like maintaining sort of a specific image about what I do, and like how I should look, etc., and like how my life should be. But I can get to topics. I can no longer be myself in a sense, be Minty Fresh, but be these other characters as well, and express points of view that people might hate, people might cancel, people and I'm like, okay, cool, go ahead and cancel my character, because I think that that's kind of within the limits right now of play within the space that I'm enjoying.
I couldn't agree more about that. Social media is draining. I came online before there was online. I remember dial-up. I remember the first time my parents plugged that into the wall. Shout out, Mom. She's visiting me this week. Shout out, Mom. Shout out all the moms out there.
Shout out to all the moms who are supporting your kids in Web3
all the moms
right now.
Supporting Web3 for real. They're like, I heard another scam. Are you okay? I'm like, yeah, except, recur forever. Fuck you. You rugged us. I'm going to say it. But thankful to blockchain technology, I was able to move my digital assets off of your shitty ass marketplace and into my ledger. Anyway, that's a little negative there. Let me crank it on down because, you know, that hadn't happened to me before. So that was the first time. But I want us to, you know, this is all about you. Yes, you mentioned a couple projects that we're going to talk about, but talk to us about this show that you do every Saturday. Like, a lot goes into a show. I want to know, like, what, you know, what it all goes into your show, how you go out to get your guests, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm getting, you know, farming a little information here for you. And like, do you have like a pre-ritual, you know, do you swig some cognac before you jump on? Like, I would love to know like the behind the scenes of Minty Fresh.
It's very natural for me. Unfortunately, I don't need the cognac. I don't need a lot of things to get me going to want to talk to people about things that I'm excited about. And so for me, it really is just like stepping into another room to talk to friends, and it's very very natural. I mean, I went through college where you know I partied really hard like everyone in freshman year, but I was just like you know after literally I think I counted like almost 100 days straight of like drinking, and I'm just like this is bad. This is just a bad thing and I need to do something else with my time here. And there was a television station on campus, and so I started volunteering there. You know, it was PA and like sweeping the floors type of thing. And then you know, sort of worked my way into director, and sort of you know began doing student television every night. And so, for me, just stepping into that was very very natural. And so, for me to transition that into something that is a bit more personal, like I said during COVID, where it's just like, yeah, I want to talk about something. I'm gonna bring in if I don't have guests, like you know, it was just like I had friends. We were filmmakers talking in a group about you know blockchain and you know what is it you know 3 years ago or so, and I was just like, well, let's have this conversation publicly, you know, so that people can hear and people can learn from and maybe contribute to the conversation. And so we started a YouTube show that was just you know me talking to my friends about you know blockchain and like how it might affect cinema, you know, and I think that's become the film 3 movement now. And it's you know something that was just like you know nice to talk about, but then like sometimes I wouldn't get a guest, so I'm just like I'm gonna talk to myself with this you know the intern or like you know these other characters. And so that kind of became the mode for me to talk about very very specific things because not everybody's here yet in media, and a lot of people don't understand you know the what's available for you in terms of IP, because you have this concept of like you know buy this JPEG and you know floor price go up, and you know what else is there. Well, there's what you're doing, Boo. There's you know taking this character and developing that character to host a show. There's you know so many avenues in which you know a lot of apes, especially. That's why I've sort of stuck in with apes. Is it's a very close community that is all a bunch of entrepreneurs. They're very entrepreneurial, and so there's a list of an official list lately that they've developed of just so many things, you know, like ape water. Just like I was talking to the ape water guys recently, and they're having tremendous success. Like it's like a fantastic idea. Little known fact, and I don't know how much alpha this is, but because they were entrepreneurial with this concept of being an ape and going into food and beverage first, they actually own the trademark for aping into anything. So like you know how you say like oh I'm aping into something, they have the trademark now for aping into food, anything food and beverage. So if you had ape bread or something like that, you can't. They have the trademark for it. So even the restaurant they could apply it to because you know they now own the trademark. And I think that that's part of the excitement of being entrepreneurial, because now they've taken this you know cultural moment of like an idea of like you know aping into something. There you go, aping into something, and now they own that trademark and they can expand that trademark. You know whether they want to in food beverage outside of just the water. So it's a smart group, and I think that's what draws me a lot to a lot of the communities that I'm in is like you know just really smart people who are thinking about things outside of floor price go up.
Exactly. I don't ever look at the floor price ever when I'm like focused on what I'm building with what I bought, right? Like, cause I'm not going to sell it. I'm not trying to get out of it. It's just, I'm keeping this until maybe the next time it jumps to like 30 to 40 ETH, right?
Then you'll think,
Because,
yeah, you're
but
like I took profits last time,
but
so maybe I should.
the reason why is so I can buy like maybe 10 more, you know, later. So I can like create more with it, you know, after I've built within here. I think everybody needs to have their own thesis, their own strategy, their own way of doing things, you know, not always aping into things. But you pointed out a lot of things there I love, you know. When we first got into this Twitter Spaces right now. There weren't as many people in the audience. So we appreciate y'all joining us. And I said things like, hey, we're live on YouTube right now. You can see our beautiful faces. If you have YouTube Premium, you can mute us on the video and listen to us on Spaces, still interact with us on Spaces, and watch us on YouTube. Yes, you got that many fingers.
Yeah,
Yes, I know you're
if you
looking
guys
at
are
the
just on the
floor.
on the Spaces, you guys are missing out on a whole world right now of where Boo and JPEG are in their avatars. They're talking to me in their avatars, and they've set up such a wonderful composition of it's got a scroll thing, and they're bringing up JPEG is just doing such a good job directing this. She's bringing in all the elements that we're talking about on the screen.
Yes, yes. And you mentioned Ape Water, which I've met those people behind it. It's incredible. They're great. Also, they got access to water in California that apparently no one can get access to. So that's really cool. And what else was there that you covered? A lot there, a lot there. Oh, there's a poll out. Alert, alert. We want to keep our audience interactive and engaged. We put out a poll. Go fill out the poll. We got some feedback. We were told that we're not interacting enough with our audience. We're sorry, y'all, but there's a poll out there to get those thumbs going. And with that, I'm going to go on to my next question. You said you're a lawyer magnet, and you're talking about all this IP all the time, so maybe that's why you're a lawyer magnet. Should people be looking to build in the space, should they be looking for a Web3 lawyer, and do you recommend any?
Yeah, anyone who's been on my show really are great lawyers because they're lawyers who are coming from it, from whether that's entertainment, whether that's property, whether that's case law. There's a lot of people who are bringing their own perspective into Web3, and they can point to it and they can say like, okay, they can advise based upon. Well, these are the decisions that were made about Twitter 5 years ago or something like this, and that can help advise and what a judge might rule in terms of where you want to go with things. And so, I mean, lawyers just I don't know, like I don't know what it is about lawyers. Like always, it's just kind of this funny joke, and I appreciate you picking up on that way back. It's just something that I don't know. They sort of gravitate towards me because I think that I'm sort of the creative end of things, and A, they need me to be their client, and then B, I'm active as an entrepreneur, and I think entrepreneurs really need when you reach a certain level, you need that sort of guidance because you don't want to make crucial mistakes because you're running so hard and so fast that you want to do things properly. And I think that that's what's great about again a lot of the teams that I'm on is just like as we're approaching things, it's like great, we're doing this and this is gonna be amazing, but how do we scale? What is the something like Sun Sound where you have hardware and these earphones that are made by the lead designer from Beats by Dre. Okay, what does that look like? We're growing this from a Web3. That's the seed and that's the kernel of like germinating out of like okay, a brand and something that we care about, music and gaming, audio fidelity. Okay, that's something we all care about in the group. But what is that? How does that grow in terms of like adoption, Web 2 and beyond? Because certainly you look at something like Beats by Dre and you're like that was a very nichey thing, but now like I see everybody on the streets with Bluetooth headphones, and this is the guy, kid you not, is the first guy to do a Bluetooth headphone because nobody believed in it, and he's found so many ways of innovating. It's hilarious because I'm just like I'm like okay yeah David, so DL we call him, and like okay we got the the earbuds, and so next we should do an over the ear, and he's just like no, never doing an over ear, and I'm like what, and he's like all the innovation right now is in our ear, and so you're putting it in your ear and it's sort of in a low profile, but there's technology that's also leveraging the cartilage in your ear, your jawbone and everything to bring a fidelity that blows my mind. I was doing the second trip, the other side second trip, the metaverse experience with it. It was kind of like I felt it was like yeah fun. I kind of felt I have to say I was a bit creeped out because I'm just like everybody is around me and I feel it. And it's just like I hear everyone, and it was very very concerning to me. And so I had to like create space away from sort of the herd that I was in the middle of. But it's extraordinary, how again for me as a filmmaker, like having sound and high fidelity is equal to picture, and so just how to take those ideas and scale those ideas you need lawyers, you need, people who are experienced in business to help guide you, because something of these scales of these magnitude, even Uniforce, like how they're scaling IP. It's, you need that sort of guidance. You need those advisors.
I absolutely loved how he answered that question, everybody. Please, everybody, retweet the room and share it out just so people can listen to that sound bit, because that was incredible. There's a reason why he's an advisor over there. Those are the kind of advisors you want on your team. You know what I'm saying? For real. And
100%.
we're getting to the halfway mark of our show. So if anybody wants to request stuff, ask a question, throw some flowers, be respectful, whatever. Maybe there's something I'm missing
I
about
love
this
the asterisk you have to put in there. Be respectful.
Oh,
I can imagine what has happened before, but
Oh,
I
and
love
actually,
that question.
everybody's been really, really chill and awesome. You know what I mean? And I always like proofread everybody before they come up here. But no, it's incredible what our audience and people who I don't even know from your audience come and they bring. And I find out all sorts of things about you that I never would have found out researching you or having, looked online, because they've been listening to you over and over, and you never know what kind of detail you miss. Okay, I got more questions though, if everybody wants to continue to be shy, which is fine with me. I have questions for days. So I want to know, these videos that you're doing, are you doing them in just one take or two? Because like I get to the point where if it takes me like 3 times to do a video, I'm like, this isn't genuine enough. I'm not doing it. I'll do something different.
Definitely one take for me. I don't have the time to do rehearsals or to do multiple takes of anything. And so this is part of the experimentation of what Minty Fresh is. Minty Fresh is just a very live, organic thing, and it's not a creation in a sense. It's an entity, and so it just is meant to be improvisational. Is meant to be, I'm going to get rugged 100 times with tech, like even just on my regular show, I'm going to get rugged during it. But it's about going with it and exploring the themes of what the technology means, etc. And the topics as best you can, with all you pull together all the, it's like a live show. Any sort of Broadway theater person will tell you, you pull together just everything you possibly can in that moment for your audience, and it lives, and or it dies horribly and it crashes, and and everybody can have hopefully a good laugh. Sadly, it's at your expense, but hopefully on the next one it'll be a little bit better for them, because you get a little better, as you go. I think you guys have probably grown a lot, congratulations on this being episode 45. But I can imagine, as you said, when Jay came in on episode 4, it's much different than it is now, isn't it?
100%. Yes. It's good to have somebody in the back end doing things. You can just tell when somebody's just distracted, being like, just those little kind of cues that pick up, So with that, I always ask this one question to every single person that comes on my show. Within the Web3 space, if you could change something, leave something, or if something could vanish entirely, could you pick a couple things, no pressure?
I enjoy all that is Web3. The degen sort of things, that drives sort of the passion for interest. And I think that I'd love, and my position in this space is to hopefully take that interest and turn it into some knowledge for what is existing out there beyond just the flow price go up. And so whether that's participation in a music platform, with sound and sort of like oh well, what is this? Oh, I do like music, and like, or I am a musician, and I'd like to collab. I have a voice, but I need a producer. Like I recently ran based off of Inspo Radio Vibes, which is another show I do. I do 3 shows a week. I don't know if you know this, but Inspo Radio
What?
Vibes.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, so it's
What?
just like, I'm very fortunate that I'm able to, and maybe this is something for your listeners and for you, is like, when you have sort of an ability that you guys have developed, you can go and pitch that to a project and be like, hey, I think you guys need media. Every project right now, in the bear especially, is dying for attention. They don't know how to make their floor price go up. They're very confused. Everybody's angry at them. they just want to do good, but they know how to do the thing that they're doing, which is maybe making a game, developing the utility that they have. I think people like you, Boo, and you, Jay, can bring, and I actually, Bobby, who's in this space right now as well, pitch to make a show for their community. And you know, when you do that, you bring your value in a sense, you know, to the space, and then you can get sponsorship. And so, you know, I'm very fortunate, you know, that I'm being able to be sponsored by these, you know, these two bigger entities to create these shows. And through those shows, like I said, I'm hoping to bring education about, you know, what's possible through these spaces. Because for me, a lot of it is collaboration. Once you get into that, like, okay, it's a music platform. Okay, well, what does that mean for somebody who can sing well, or somebody who plays guitar? Well, they need other people. And you know, if you're in the music business, like, I kind of joke sometimes, like, you know, if I'm doing a music video, sometimes I'm shooting, you know, one artist, and then I go fly across the country and I shoot another artist, and I put them together in the video, and it's like, or sometimes the video is the first time that they've met. Like, it's crazy. Like, they've done like collabs together, and like, you know, they're on the track together. They recorded that separately 99% of the time. And the music video, because you know, we need them together in this thing, is probably the first time they've met. And it's crazy to me because that's how isolated, you know, some of these roles as creatives are. And Web3 allows us to break a lot of those molds, and not worry about the in between and the go in betweeners of agencies, you know, labels, studios, etc. And be like, dude, I love Boo. Jay is killing it as director. I'd love to do, you know, X with you. And then Boo, you know, you got so much, you're so freaking funny. Like, you know, we're going to do, like, you know, a scene, or, you know, or a series, or, you know, what have you. And so it's easier to just, you know, find like-minded people, and create those collaborations. And I think that, you know, shows like ours can do that. That's kind of my quasi thesis, if I'm saying one. And that's why we start these shows, or I start these shows for these communities.
Yo, I appreciate the flowers, but I'm gonna give you flowers right back because you did 4 shows this week because you did our show. So
That's right.
wow, boy, you are cooking with gas, baby. You cooking with gas. Sorry, y'all. They need to make an adjustment up here, a boo adjustment, so the volume goes automatically down when I come off that mic. Because sometimes I feel like I lose some people. They're like, whoa. Oh, it's too loud right now for my kids or where I'm at. Like, I'm bouncing because I'll notice people bounce out when I scream. Is
Well,
it
that's the
Yosef?
thing. If you get the sound soundware, you can just put them in your ears. And
Hey, well, let's maybe we can collab with them. We can do it. Let me get in their DMs. We can do a show. I love to give product quality reviews. You know,
yeah.
is it Yosep or Osep?
Ooh, Yosef.
It is Yosef. That's right.
Yosep was
Uh,
good.
I'm good. How are you? I'm great.
We good. We great. How are you today?
I'm very well. I do have a question. Well, actually, I've got two questions for Minty. I'll say the first one, and then I'll let you answer. Then I'll say the second.
Okay.
So my first question is, what Web3, I guess, applied tech are you most excited for? Is it like, ZK, zero knowledge proofs, layer twos, alternative layer ones, etc.? Like, do you have one that you think, that's you're very excited for that and the applications?
It really is dependent upon each project. Like I said, I'm in multiple projects, and each project is using something like zero knowledge proofs in their own way, in a unique way. And I think you sort of understand, where we're at with sound, and the way of protecting an audience, with a platform. Wow, that's just such a great novel way of utilizing the technology. And it's something I can talk about because I'm not under strict NDA, because we've talked about that publicly before. But zero knowledge proofs being an ability to interact with a platform, interact with media, much like say you're interacting with social, and Facebook is just stealing you and pictures of your baby, and like these sort of things that, like, you're like, oh, I don't want that. I want to listen to the music I like. I want to engage with things without having my fingerprints all over them, so that I can be marketed to later. And I think that is going to be a big, it's such a disruption, and I think that it's a disruption that is so necessary, because it's happening, and it all happened without our permission. As I said, we grew up on social. We didn't ask for that. I wanted to put some pictures of me and my friends. I didn't want to participate in giving money, and advertising dollars to Instagram. That wasn't my purpose, and that was something that's held behind the curtain, and is happening, that's at our expense. And we're starting to realize it now, because technology moves so fast. And so I'm hoping that type of disruption is is going to improve sort of our quality of like, hey, give us a couple dollars, as you know, Andrew Yang had suggested. Maybe we should be making that money. Great question, Joseph. Thank you. But you have a second one. What's up?
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. That's a very well thought out answer, I think. So yeah, I did have a second question, and my second question. Also, I did want to say, guys, he mentioned NDA when talking about Sound. That is code for bullish thing. Buy the product. That's something they don't tell you, but whenever you hear that, it's a sign to buy. And I am invested. Anyway, my second question: would you beat Bobby in an arm wrestle?
Bobby is he's one of those that is probably, you wouldn't know that he's this buff, but like if you gave him like a bro hug, like, you know, that's the thing. There's some people like, you know, on this team, especially like David Lung actually is one of those. Like if you gave him a bro hug, Devin actually is like a wrestler. It's just like you give these people bro hugs, you're like, okay, you're not just a degen sitting at home like, you know, thinking about ZK roll ups. You're actually like in good shape, and I would say Bobby would win because he's pretty vicious. He's a very nice guy, but he's really deep down. He's got the killer's edge.
Great questions, Joseph, and good try trying to get the alpha. We always know a holder when we hear one, so we love that. And if anybody else wants to come up, please come up. I try to give everybody their time. We got 21 more minutes up here. Sometimes we go over if somebody comes up and gets crazy with it. But Josep, going into the arm wrestling thing, brought a question up to me. You know, usually on this path going forward in life, right, we have mentors, right, that look out for us, you know, and they tell us when we're fucking up, and they tell us when they're proud of us. And oh my God, when they tell us they're proud of us, whoo, it's hard to hold back those tears because we're just so fucking stoked. Are there any mentors who have significantly influenced you along your approach in life, Minty?
Oh, massively. I wouldn't be where I'm at without mentors. I think, you know, the mentors that come into our lives, or you know, we never quite can prepare ourselves for them, other than the opportunity to help. And I think that that's part of what to me mentorship is being able to offer that help, whether it's, you know, it's super simple, like I was saying, like, you know, sweeping the floors of the television station, you know, that suddenly opens up the doors to, you know, oh, meeting, you know, an executive producer or a producer that, you know, really helps guide you along your journey. So I wouldn't be here without mentors, and that's probably why in Web3, because I've been in Web3 so long, you know, I really try and mentor as much as I can, because I've just been helped so much, you know, going into Web 2, and having some success there, I wouldn't have without mentors. And so those who are creatives, those who, you know, are maybe thinking about media or in this space, I'm always doling out as much as I can, because I think that was given to me. So that's the least I could do.
I love that. I absolutely love that. It's important to have a mentor, everybody. It's important to reach out, but don't burn out your mentor. I've learned that too. Don't always call that one person because they're like, oh, I'm going to answer it. But then, you know, sometimes they're like, hey, man, you got to, you know, maybe you should call Charles over here, or call, you know,
It's
Saranda.
important to provide value. That's part of that relationship that sometimes isn't understood. It's just like, you know, you want their information and you want to be at the top of the freaking mountain. You're just like, yeah, how do I get to the top of the mountain? Just tell me, just show me the way. But just like, dude, start fucking, like, you know, sweeping. Just start like clearing the way for them to, like, you know, do whatever it is that they need to do. Start moving stones for them, and you know, you'll start to see the value, because then you'll start saying like, oh shit, that was hard work getting that stone out of the way. Okay, I understand now the work that you're talking about when it comes to giving me guidance, because so many people want to shortcut it. So many people just want to, like, just give me the fucking combination. Just give me the locker combination. I want to get in there. And it's not about that. It's about, you know, sort of kind of the feel of it, and, you know, going right this many times is the journey. And so I think that's often the overlooked part, as you said. It's just like, give me the shit. Try and provide value to your mentors. You'll get a world more benefit from it.
I could not agree more. And, you know, Jay has taught me something to click around before you go into calling your tech for them to just tell you to turn the machine on and off again. Like, learn it. You can click it and click it until you break it, but you really can't break it, right? And Jay, did you have a question?
I do. It's a little bit of an informal question, but Minty Fresh, right? Every time I see your name pop up, I feel like I have like toothpaste in my mouth. And I was like, oh, it feels great. Like I feel a little bit refreshed. Where did Minty Fresh Vibe come from?
It was a massive, massive wreck where I just got wrecked on Vogu, VOGU. If you remember that that project is, it was back around the time that Oni Force was minting, and I just get it was also at that height of like gas wars, and so it was just as gas wars were becoming a thing, and it was just like people were just losing hundreds and thousands of dollars on gas just to try and get these NFTs. These are very, very early days, and I just got wrecked hard on Vogu. Like I lost hundreds, if not close to $1,000 on gas, and I still didn't mint. It was just bad. It was just so bad. And so I go into like secondary, just salty as hell, and I find a Vogu avatar that has the word mint on its face, and I thought that was funny. And he's wearing a Hawaiian shirt, which I coincidentally am as well. And so it's just like I bought this guy on the secondary. I go into the Discord, and it was the first time I really engaged, I think, also on Discord with the community. And so, to change my name, it's just like, oh, he's got mint on his face, and that's funny. And then like he's got he's got some fresh things going on. And then if you wore the Hawaiian shirt, they gave you, or whatever you were wearing, they gave you sort of a last name. And so in that server, and so mine, just because my Hawaiian shirt was Vibes, and so it became Minty Fresh Vibes. Little did I know that that's how people were going to address me when I go to NFT NYC, or like when I see him in real life. I was meeting a buddy of mine's wife, and I'm just like, hi. I'm like, and I know him, like, and I'm just I don't want to call him out, but I'm just like, I know him on just in Web3, and then like meeting his wife, I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm Minty Fresh. Like, and she goes, oh, because that's the thing is like, as when we're going to these IRLs, like I see Yuli there, and it's just like I don't know if I made it to that point with Yuli, but like I was just like, I just started having I stopped using my real name. Like it was just like, because I would just be, hi, I'm this, and then be like, oh, hi, nice to meet you. And then I'm like, I'm the server Minty Fresh Vibe. Oh, Minty, like, oh god, yes. And then like, oh, I love it. And it's a different sort of way of interacting. And so, yeah, little did we know, right, that suddenly, that's how I'm sure Boo, you're probably known by Boo for a lot of people.
Yo, I'm into it. I was called Boo in high school by like kids that used to make fun of me because they said I was pale and I looked like Boo Radley, from Kill a Mockingbird. But
Is that
all
where
that
that's
shit
from?
is
Wow.
tight now. All that is dope, yo. And they were this, I'm fucking out here making it. And when people yell my name Boo, they can't boo me anymore, right? You own it, baby. Own that paint on your face. You know what I'm saying? But Jay, hey, she can relate to you because she had Baby J in the beginning of her Web3 journey, and then people are like, "Hey, Baby J," and then they would like look at me and they're like, "Is that okay?" I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it's okay." She's like, "I gotta change this, y'all. I can't be Baby J." Then there's like a bunch of Baby J's in like every Discord, right, Jay?
Yeah, what happened was then a second Baby J showed up and was in all of the same project as me, and then they were winning all of the drawings and stuff, and I wasn't. So I was like, clearly he had all the Baby J luck. So I had to change my name.
That was back when you were in those alpha groups, and the guys in those alpha groups were like, Jay, we're going to change our PFPs to female PFPs, but it's okay. It's just for us to get more whitelists. Wow. What a time that was. That was crazy. We got a poll out. As we talked about VRMs, please go fill out our poll. The poll is, do you have or want a VRM? The first poll question is, I have one and I use it. A. B. I don't, but I want one. B. C, what's a VRM? If you don't know what a VRM, we'll help you. And if you don't know how to use a Snapchat lens, we'll help you too. We'll do all that with you. You know what I'm saying? Yo, these IRL events, they're important. Minty, you went to Crypto Goons IRL event. I love that video. You were real about it. You're like, I'm kind of early. You're like, and one thing I said you loved that I loved, you said everybody that's here is already like kind of here. You know what I'm saying? And I think when you said it, I don't know. Now, don't let me, take these words out of my mouth. But I felt that you were like kind of hoping to find other people that were just discovering it for the first time, like you, and that this event would create that.
Yeah, I think that's the great part is, again, we all love hanging out with each other. If you're part of like 10KTF or even Oni Force or even Sound, it's just like when you're part of any community, you just like hanging out with each other, and to do that IRL is super exciting, and it's a new it's just sort of layer of bonding. Like I mentioned 10KTF because it's so strong with them. Like you go to an event, and it's just like you see somebody you've been hanging with and playing this game with for 2 years now, and so there's just a connectivity to it. And you go to those events, as you said, perhaps to try and find somebody new, but I think what you end up doing is you really engaging with the community that you've been developing in a very, very strong way, because those friendships solidify very, very quickly when you see each other IRL. And that's places like the Goons thing, or even NFT NYC or NFT LA, any of these you then expand with. It's just like when you go to a party and you see your friends and like you hang out with your friends, and that's great, but you're going to meet some other people. You're going to go to the bar, you're going to go to the bathroom, or you're going to go to these other things, and you're just going to bump into other people and run into other people, and you're probably going to have something common to talk about because you guys are at that party for the same reason. And so you guys can be able to talk very, very quickly about things, because other degens, we love talking to other degens, right?
I couldn't, man, I seriously couldn't agree more. You got to break bread IRL. I've said it a lot on this show. I love going and just eye contact is important. You know what I mean? Like I'll literally go hang out with some people. I'm like, guys, we got to change our positioning here. Like I'm not going to I want to have a good conversation. I want to be comfortable. I want to be looking at you. Like one example I use is like 3 of you go to a bar and you're sitting at the bar. The 2 people on the end, they're not going to be having a fully engaged conversation like the one person sitting in the center, right? And I just think social interaction is all important, especially if you're going to be collaborating. You're going to be sending, $50,000 of Ethereum to somebody to work on a project. I think it's important to start to get to know those people. And, I get the whole thing of being anonymous, decentralization. That's fine with me. Everybody has their different path here. But if you're trying to take your thing that you're particularly doing to like a global, scale, you're going to have to get out there a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Which, is one of those things. It's at that point where it's 10 minutes to the end of the show, and I get a little fun with it. I get a little loose with it. We kind of we're chilling here. If there's something I missed as far as the project, I think he's an incredible person, a speaker. Where he went with it a lot of the ways, guys. I was like, how is he going to wrap it all up? And he wrapped it all up in a tight little knit bow. And these are the people I want to learn from. These are people I want to have in my circle. When I come hang out with you and we're chilling, we're having some food. What are we eating, man? Where are you taking me? Where are we grubbing?
It depends on what city we're in. If we're out in LA, we're probably having like fish tacos by the beach, or something that's very, very Californian, something with avocados, right?
I love that. So that means that you're traveled. If you said that you have a passport, I take it.
Oh man, I love traveling, especially for my youth. That was most of what I did. Getting outside of my own hometown headspace. Even though LA is very cosmopolitan, it still has its own perspective that needs to be broken, I think, for anybody. And I always advise anybody just to travel for a couple of years before they really settle down with whatever they're doing. It's just so important to break out of the mindset to examine how, especially Americans, like how are we seen by the world? Why is it that we're seeing this in a certain way? And sort of fighting against those, honestly. Like a lot of times, like I was just out of the country. I just literally a couple of days ago came back from Asia, and like all of the news feeds coming from America are those robberies of like I don't know if they're as big and shown here as they are there, but we look like we're crazy people right now. Like just people like a group of 30 people bashing through Topanga Mall. It happened in Orange County, where they just bashed in a jewelry store. But those were like headline things, and like news there was just like, hey, and now live from America, let's get a report. And it's just like they're losing their shit over there in America, and you're like, wow, it's just like, is this what's actually going on, or is this just how we're perceived? But it's real, and it's something that when I travel, I actually have to sometimes combat like that the ugly American trope that is international. And but I think that's the thing, is just like everyone's different, and sometimes it's hard to change people's minds about anything. until you meet them, until you do an IRL, until you, actually jive. And I think that that's what's special about Web3 is I'm able to jive with, somebody around halfway around the world that's, not in my niche, not in my social circle, but man, I respect the frick out of that janitor who, is working at some restaurant, and but because he like can, his collection of JPEGs is just like, beautiful. Like it was just like, I'm like, damn, like, that's good curation. And that leads to conversations of enlightenment that, have blown me away. And so, as you said, travel is amazing, but like it's Web3 offers a lot of that perspective shift for me.
I think they mean more than just touching grass in your backyard when they say touch grass, Minty Fresh. And I think right there. You know what I mean? Getting perspective. I love going to Asia. I love it. I love how it's like, especially Japan, it's like being inside of a clock. Everything is just so on time, so clean. But then there's other things about it that I'm not so keen on. And I like that little bit of edginess. I like coming to New York and telling a taxi cab driver to go fuck himself because he can't fucking, get to the curb and help me with my bag. He's like, fuck you. And then we're smiling, we're hugging at the end of it, and we're all good. I give him a fat tip and we go on our way. That's literally New York. That's America, right? You said it's crazy. And it, like when I think about, what your example about, mall life, like, man, Hong Kong, all they do is live in the mall. I bet they're just like, how dare the blasphemy? How dare you do that to our mall? Jay's over there like, I can't believe this, because you can in Hong Kong. She grew up in Hong Kong, and I've been there and visited. You can literally go from your doorstep to wherever you need to be at any time of the day, and you can do it all through a mall, like pretty much. Like you're gonna pass through a mall or malls. You know what I mean? What so IRL events. I don't know. A lot of stuff's getting canceled, man, this year. What's going on? The community's having to really pitch in this year for IRL events. What are you excited for this year or maybe next year that's coming up that I don't know about? Because I didn't even know you did 3 shows. And Jay, if you don't mind, please make sure you pin all of his shows at the top, everybody, so you can go check those out and go follow Minty Fresh and get those vibes.
You're very, very kind. There's too many shows, far too many shows. But that's, there's IRLs, I think, that are being curtailed because of budgets. And I think that everyone's getting a little sort of understanding that they shouldn't just blow out, with a huge party. We learned that sort of, first 6-9 months, I think, as projects, sort of made money. And like, what do we do? We're going to celebrate and, have these big ragers. But that doesn't return much value to holders, does it? That doesn't return, other than the experience of the few that can make it. And I think that at the detriment of, the 90% that couldn't. And so I think that that's being thought out in a very awesome curated way now, of each project looking at sort of IRLs is like, well, what is it that we can leverage? Wicked Craniums, I think, is fantastic as a project. If you don't know Wicked Craniums, follow Wicked Craniums. They leverage, their relationships with a promoter. Their music genre is very specific. It's like hard rock, heavy metal. And if you're into that, though, by being a holder, you can go to like, they leverage their relationship with a promoter and said like, hey, our RLs are going to be, these 5 shows this month, and you can join us. There's a sign up list or whatever, but next month there's a whole different one. And so for them, that's worked really well. And, they're able to consistently do that. Sun Sound, again, same thing, kind of leveraging, their relationships. And electronic music is like, okay, great. We're going to be in LA for NFT LA. We have this great venue, and we know these top DJs. Fantastic. Like, let's leverage that and let's have a show. And so I think everyone's trying to like look at who they are, and I think that IRLs become expressive of that because they're expensive and like they're hard to put together. And Ape Fest, everyone's like, oh, when's the next Ape Fest? Those are really hard to put together, and those are super expensive, but they do hit, right? They hit in a big way. If you remember sort of how the market was going, apes were actually kind of down to the level they are today. And suddenly they had Ape Fest in New York, and it was like, oh, Chris Rock is hosting, and like, all these people are performing. That's badass. Like, I get like, yeah, I want to be an ape. And so I think that allows people to understand who you are when you're expressing, events like IRLs in that level.
Hong Kong Ape Fest is going down. I'm gonna have to find an excuse to get out there. Oh, fuck it, Saturday, right, is going down
in Miami. Yeah.
In Miami. I wish I could fly out there. Shout out to all the people doing it. That's incredible. One thing I do need to cover real quick before we head off here is that you played a Sammy Arriaga song before we went on here through sound.xyz. And I was like, you know, people are like out there, I've heard it. There's like not enough music getting covered in the spaces. All right, I heard y'all. We're going to get more music people up on the Web3 with Boo show. Don't worry, we got you. But so we're talking about some of it right now. So right here, if you go to the website and you look at the song Ocean, yeah, with Sammy, you can see like PFPs of people. And guess who's right in the middle sharing the vibes? Minty Fresh. Tell us about that a little bit.
So the artist is actually West Ghost. He's actually super well known in Web 2, but he's doxed or he's made himself anonymous to go into Web 3. And I think that this is a beautiful thing that a lot of artists are doing and finding freedom within Web 3. And so he's created this persona from his kid called Beast, PFP. And this is again how to leverage NFTs to your advantage. So he took his kid called Beast, made a persona out of it, got the community to help him out as he was doing these drops, and he partnered with Sammy Arriaga, who is a country singer. And Sammy Arriaga is the self-professed pit bull of Web3. He will say it himself. He will jump on anybody's track because he is so gosh darn good in any genre. And it's just crazy because like he sings country, but on this track, you know, he's a country singer, but he's on this track and it's an electronic pop thing that West, you know, that's his style, but it fits so naturally. And it's just one of my favorite tracks in probably the past, you know, month and a half or so. But Wes, you know, was a guest. Both these guys were actually guests on my Inspo Radio Vibes, is a Web3 music centered show where I talk, you know, every week. Bobby's on there. Bobby, you still here? Yeah, Bobby's still there. Bobby's my co-host actually on that show, along with Chico, who is a, you know, sort of I call her the K-pop wonderkin. Like, you know, she kind of came up through K-pop and like is such a great artist, and you know, kind of brings a perspective from an artist perspective coming up in the music business on what is possible in Web3. And so we just examine sort of each week, you know, who's coming up, and you know, just in general in music. And I pinpoint specifically those in Web3 that I think are doing amazing things. And if you heard the track before, I don't know what we're gonna play out, but it's such a great track. And West Coast actually sold out his EP. I think if he hasn't, there's only literally one left. So I'll just say safely said he sold out his EP, which is a tremendous feat in Web3, and it's proof positive again that there's artists able to make a living. Nessie the Rilla, who was had some hits in Web3, he's open for the biggest names in hip hop, you know, in a very long span of a career. You know, we'll say maybe the better part of a decade. And he said he's made more in Web3 in the past, like, you know, 3 or 4 months than he's ever made combined. And that's a huge problem for the music industry. We're losing a lot of talent, and we're losing a lot of innovators to just financial, you know, unattainability. And so I think Web3 helps that to some degree, and it certainly gives us, by coming on these shows, like the ability to, you know, help promote these people on these platforms.
Thank you for covering that. Sammy's awesome. I love some country music. I didn't tell y'all, I have this like secret thing here. If your name's said 3 times, I fucking request you up like Beetlejuice, Bobby. That's why I hit that request button. I think 4 times.
He might be sneaking around at work right now.
All good. But yeah. If you get your name shouted out 3 times in here, I'm like, get up here, Beetlejuice, get up here. But yeah, we're at the top of the hour. I really appreciate everybody that came in here today. Prez, thank you for continuing to stream us out on CloneX Radio on YouTube. You know, you really understand how merging the worlds and expanding out, you know, gets us out there. It's more boats out there. You never know who's going to watch Prez's stream, watch this stream through Prez's stream, and then it trickles all down, you know. So we need to keep those connections, those vibes. I'm rubbing your back. I'm rubbing those shoulders. Tanja, you know, I saw your comment about how excited you were to have Minty up here, and I'm so glad you tuned in today to listen to Minty get in the hot seat. I'm glad he's up here. Jonah, keep killing it. You're doing it out there. We love it that you're always sliding my DMs with new information, new artists out there. Yeah, there's people out there. I don't care if they have literally 5 followers. Okay, it does not matter. There's incredible people doing it all the time, and they don't have the time, like Minty pointed out, to be running the social media machine that we all started posting family pictures on. And little did we know, we're selling ad space on grandma's photo next year, right? Skidley, you're just crushing it, always coming in here doing big things. Macho, thank you. I loved seeing what the kid called Beast is doing. Yosep with the incredible 2 questions and one to keep them funny. Yo, I gotta give you the second to last word before I close this out, Minty, please.
Ooh, I don't know what to do with that second to last word, honestly, other than just open it up to questions beyond the show. Hit me up at MintyFreshVibe. If you're interested in whether that's film 3, media, music. That's kind of where I sit and where I like working. I have 3 shows. One for Rug Radio. That's kind of based on that sort of overall media picture. A lot of 3D, a lot of sort of innovator type stuff. And then on Tuesdays, I do the show with Bobby, Inspo Radio, 9 p.m. Pacific, Web3 music. And then Sundays, it's not every Sunday, but every other Sunday-ish. For Oni Force, we're doing one that's called Ronin Radio that is focused in on anime and manga and comic books to a greater extent. And that's kind of why, I went to Comic-Con, to my 12th Comic-Con to sort of reconnect with that community, because as you said, it is invigorating, much like Web3, and you really find a lot of like minds there. And so glad to be here, and I entreat any like minds to please reach out if you have any questions.
Thank you again for the time and the opportunity. This has been all the pleasures on this side with the Bobs, all the pleasures over here. Thank you so much. Yo, turn down that mic if you don't like me getting loud. Shout out Artifact Creators. Shout out Rug Radio. Shout out On Cyber. We're continuing to do it. I can't believe I've been doing 2 shows a week for a month. It just hit me at the end of this week. Wow. It's just like what Minty says. When you get in the flow, when you get in the rhythm, you're just vibing, yo, and stay in your lane. Keep doing what you're doing. You know what I mean? Celebrating 1 year today. I'm holding a Clone X, baby. And we're going to keep riding. We're going to keep building, getting all the tools that we need in these virtual worlds, merging the worlds. With that, this is the end of episode 45, Web3 with Boo, live on Rug Radio. And we'll catch you next week, same day, same time, Thursday, 6 p.m. And I'm so pumped because guess what? This show is booked out, baby. So we're going to keep doing it. We're going to keep riding it. I'm pumped. Let's go. Catch y'all later. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, Boo. Thank you, Jay.
Thank you.